Well, as we've been reporting here on France 24, we're just a few days out from the U.S. midterm elections, and there's lots of focus in the papers on what's at stake. Our press reviewer, Diptyque Laurent, joins us to take us through it all.
Well, Lauren, there's a lot of different angles in the papers today concerning the U.S. midterm elections. The Washington Post in this article here is focusing on really what they call the gap in star power. That's what they say here in the article. A gap in star power on the Democrat side. They really contrast Joe Biden's strange, confusing campaign in Florida recently with the sleek, star-studded campaign by Barack Obama, plus the fact that Biden was campaigning in the state of Florida, which is expected, where the Republicans are expected to win, whereas Obama was given the more important task in Las Vegas of trying to convince voters in a state that where it could go either way. A dichotomy that reinforces Joe Biden's lack of charisma as a leader, the Washington Post says, but also reaffirms Barack Obama's charisma, aided by the fact that he's been out of the limelight for a few years. So he's really being seen as a fresh voice once again on the campaign for these midterms. Now, the New York Times, meanwhile, is focusing on political violence in its editorial piece today, saying that America can have democracy or political violence, but it cannot have both. The editors noting that federal officials warn that the threat of violence could escalate after the midterm elections. The New York Times really pointing the finger at the Republicans for what it calls embracing conspiratorial and violence ideology during Donald Trump's presidency, all of which have led to a current political climate where political violence is no longer on the fringes, but very much in the mainstream. America is not powerless to stop this slide into chaos, the New York Times says, but it requires strong action by institutions and individuals. Come Tuesday, voters will have to choose between political violence or democracy.
Well, Donald Trump, Dipty, is eyeing a comeback in 2024, and could start his campaign right after the midterms.
Well, for The Guardian today, the British Daily, his potential third presidential bid is not a question of if, but when. That's what Martin Pengelly, The Guardian's correspondent here, says in this article after a flurry of reports say that Donald Trump could move swiftly after the midterms and seek to capitalize on what will be likely Republican gains and really exploit the current climate of financial crisis and law and order. In any case, if the Republicans do take control of either the lower or upper house, and plus that looming Trump presidential bid in 2024, if it happens, well, there is concern, at least for this French cartoonist Piet, about what that means for foreign policy, particularly what it means for the U.S.'s support for Ukraine in the war against Russia. In any case, this cartoonist sees Russia perhaps gaining a new secret weapon that would be Agent Orange, of course, in the form of Donald Trump here.
Well, let's turn our focus to Pakistan now, where the attempted assassination of former Prime Minister Imran Khan is making headlines there.
That's right. It's on the front page of this paper called Dawn today, a Pakistani daily. The attempt on Imran Khan's life has sent shockwaves throughout Pakistan. Khan, the ousted prime minister, survived that gun attack that took place during a protest march in eastern Pakistan yesterday, a protest march in which he was calling for early elections. He was wounded in the leg when gunfire hit his vehicle. At least one person died in that attack. However, Dawn, in its coverage today, worries on its front page that perhaps Pakistani politics may not even survive this latest attack, and that political tribalism, i.e. Revenge attacks, could further damage the social fabric of the country. It's also the focus of a lot of the editorial pages today. This is from another Pakistani newspaper, The Nation, which headlines its editorial with assassination attempt. You know, Pakistan is, of course, no stranger to political assassinations. We all remember Benazir Bhutto's assassination back in 2007. This paper here calls the attack horrifying, but also questions security protocol and questions notably why and how the attacker was even able to get so close to the convoy in the first place. While finally, this newspaper, The News, and another Pakistani daily, headlines with descent into chaos. And the editors today in this editorial really calling for calm. They're calling for a clear, transparent investigation into what happened, but also urging people to stay calm, saying that Pakistan has suffered enough and it cannot afford to shed more bloodshed right now.
Well, finally, from you then, Charles has barely been king for 2 months, and we're already getting snapshots of what kind of king he'll be. This, according to a new biography yet to be crowned.
That's right. This new biography of the king who's yet to be crowned is the first since Charles became king. It's written by the New York Times best-selling author Christopher Anderson, and we glean some delicious tidbits about King Charles, Aaron. For instance, I'm not sure if you knew this, but he never travels without a little teddy bear that he's owned since he was 5 years old. That teddy bear even has its own nanny, who is the only person allowed to mend the teddy bear when it gets holes. As you can imagine, he's well over 70 today, so that teddy bear has no doubt seen a lot of wear and tear. One of Charles's valets, quoted in the book, is quoted as saying, you know, he's in charge of things like squeezing toothpaste onto the king's toothbrush, shaving his face, tying his shoelaces, and tucking him into bed every night. He's also, King Charles also notoriously has a violent temper. He's capable of bullying his staff. When it comes to traveling, well, he always travels with his own toilet paper, personal chef, even taking his personal chef to dinner parties. He also famously hates square-shaped ice cubes and carries his own custom toilet seat, I guess bringing new meaning to a throne fit for a king.
Dipti, I can't help but wonder how taxpayers feel about a full-time staff for a ratty teddy bear. I will say, though, I would love to be able to travel with my own toilet seat, so there's a little bit of jealousy
and toilet
there.
paper, too.
And toilet paper as well, a bit of jealousy there, but the teddy bear, not so sure. Dipti Laurent, thank you very much.